Thank you for joining this section. My name is Andy Wong. I'm from Invest Hong Kong. I look after the innovation and technology cluster within Invest Hong Kong. Today's topic is about setting up a healthcare business in Hong Kong. So it's exactly what we are doing. We're helping the company. It can be from a startup, can be scaling up, or even the MNC to set up the business in Hong Kong. And given that I'm in the innovation and technology sector, that's why I am look after the healthcare as well. For this section, it's about 30 minutes. So I will spend about 20 minutes to go through some of the materials that I already prepared. And then maybe I'll leave a couple of minutes at the end of this section to see any Q&A for this one. So let me share some of the slide that maybe is easier to go through. So I believe that you've seen the this slide, right? So I just go through those slides. So just a background about who I am, where we come from, right? Invest Hong Kong, we, as I mentioned, is a government agency to promote and facilitate foreign investment in Hong Kong. And then we have different cluster within Invest Hong Kong, including like a creative industry, like a Art Basel that we happening last week, and then we have a consumer product. Transportation, hospitality, and then I look after the innovation technologies. We have an office all over the world with 31 locations in different places in Asia, in China, Australia, Europe, and also North and South America. And then we work closely with the different ecosystem partners like Brain. Today we work together for this event, and also we work with different chambers, technology park, including Science Park and Cyberport, different government office, bureaus and department, university, and also research institutions like S3, Hong Kong Productivity Council, etc. When we talk about biomedical, so just want to give a more high-level overview about what it means by biomedical in Hong Kong. I do believe that we have a very complete value chain in the biomedical sector, covering 6 major drivers for this value chain in Hong Kong. Starting with a very good healthcare system in Hong Kong. For those who live in Hong Kong, you may find very amazed that given this high density of population, and then for the hospital, if you go to the hospital, unfortunately, then it's almost free of charge to go to the public hospital. This is a very efficient healthcare system in Hong Kong, given that we don't pay much from the taxpayer point of view. So that's why the healthcare system is excellent in Hong Kong. And also we are number one or maybe global leading in terms of the clinical trial that were in Hong Kong. We have a strong pharmaceutical company already in Hong Kong doing their business since many years ago. We have a very good facility in Hong Kong for the R&D, research and development. We have a very good kind of talent coming from the university. For those graduates, particularly in the healthcare sector, we have 2 very good name schools, which is one is Hong Kong University, the other is Chinese University. So we have 2 strong medical school and also clinical trial center belongs to these 2 universities. Support funding incentive by the government as well, and also we are well known for the PEVC fund and IPO network as well. So for starting with the first one about the healthcare system, we do have dual trial system, which is one is offered by the public. 90% of hospital service is provided by the public, which is by the government, and then 10% for the hospital service provided by the private hospital. For the public, then we do have divided into 7 clusters, 33 public hospitals, and then we have the longest life expectancy, which is the man, unfortunately, is 5 years shorter life than an old woman. So the old woman is about 87, man is about 82. That's it's about the life expectancy in Hong Kong. There's 2 organizations. One is the Department of Health look after under the drug office, which is the office which regulate the drugs in Hong Kong, and also medical device control office who look after the medical device in Hong Kong. So this is something about, and then between the public and private, we have already launched a system called eHealth, which is the patient electronic health record linking between the public hospital and also private hospital for those people who want to join this system. So it's a very good electronic database record holding the patient's record in Hong Kong. About the clinical trial, if you are familiar with this clinical trial, you may have heard about the COVID-19 vaccine, for example. So we do have the preclinical and also clinical trial, right? Phase 1, phase 2, 3, and 4. And we are quite leading in this space in Hong Kong. Starting from we have very good innovation system in Hong Kong with different university doing the medical innovation. And then we have a very transparent kind of clinical planning approval process in Hong Kong. That's why we have a global, what we call CRO, clinical research organization, already in place in Hong Kong to doing the clinical trial work in Hong Kong. And then the execution is excellent because the data that we did after the clinical trial is recognized by FDA and EMA as well as the China NMPA as well. So that makes Hong Kong a unique place for the clinical trial network. So if we look at the overall value chain from the CRO to CMO, so you can see that the global player is most of the global player is already in Hong Kong. For the pharmaceutical company, which is to talk about the different big names, the logos right down here in here, and then they use Hong Kong as a good place for some sort of further drugs development. Given that the innovation, we need to focus on the whole patient journey. Given Hong Kong has a good healthcare network, open innovation, we have a different startup company in Hong Kong, and also the spin-off from the university. Telehealth, definitely Hong Kong is a good place for the telecom network, transformation, GPA market opportunity, and certain drugs can like specific drugs can be manufactured in Hong Kong as well. So, and then moving on to the R&D, the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park which is most people, if you are in Hong Kong, definitely know that it's a place in the Sha Tin, which is Pak Sek Kok, what we call it, right? So it's established in 2002, which offer about 400,000 meter square R&D office and lab space. And then right now it's already have more than close to 900 tech enterprises already have their office or lab over there in the science park. Which divide into different technology cluster, right? So biomedical, electronics, robotic, new material, etc. And definitely the biomedical, what we call BTM, is the major cluster in the science park, offering different comprehensive program, including from the idea generation to startup to scale up, and more on the global expansion. So they have different incubation program. Particular for the IncubBio, they have a program, 4 years program in the startup stage, right? So within this 4 years, they provide comprehensive support, including financial support, some target fund grant, and also some business support, helping the people who doing how is mentorship. So some matching program for matching different business partner. They offer the working premises in the science park and also some technical support. And in addition to the support, and then they also have a venture fund, which is founded in 2015, right? So they have already 600 million under asset management. So they will invest into certain startup company together with co-investment with other VCPE fund. If we look at the lab facility in Science Park, right? So we can look at it in campus, which is in the Sha Tin area. So for the biomedical, they have a healthcare device innovation hub, and also they have a whole building for the technology support. Also equipment in there to facilitate the R&D functions, right? And also the off-campus, which is one is about the data technology hub, which is more on the data side, microelectronics, which is focused on the chipset design, and the advanced manufacturing center, which is more for certain particular product, like a medical device, for example, will be a good place to consider to manufacture over there. Under the BMT, right? So they have different incubatees in there, right? Including diagnostic company, therapeutics company, medical device company, and also traditional Chinese medicine and some other categories, right? Under the biomedical technology cluster, BMT they call. The 4 years program, as I mentioned earlier, will provide the financial support, coaching, regulatory support, and also the BTM collaboration, because they do want the program not by themselves only, but also with some industry partner like AstraZeneca and also KingMed. They do have some collaborative kind of incubation program run by those industry practitioner and the science park. So they have different very expensive shared equipment available for the incubatee or the talent to make use of those equipment. And in addition to the science part, right, I just want to mention one of the project which is by the Hong Kong government, which is called the Genomes Project. That's why you can see that from the government perspective, we are trying to be more in the frontier of the innovation. So 1.2 billion investment for doing the whole genome sequencing project for two key purposes. One is for clinical application, the other for scientific research. So two different phases to build this genomes database. So by mid of next year, we'll complete 2,000 cases of genomes, right? And then leaving the rest of 18,000 of cases of patients' data to be done in the next 3-4 years. And the data will be accessible, but it depends on the different tier, right? So the red color showing on the right-hand side is showing for clinical purpose only. So, but for some data which will be normalized, so will be available for the research purpose. And in addition to the science part, we do also have another much bigger part, which is three times bigger than the current science park, which is located in the border between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, which is called Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park. So over there, then there will be, this will not be available today, but will be available in 2-3 years later. And then this will be a much bigger area with more collaboration between Hong Kong and the Shenzhen for doing the R&D function. And we'll focus on the 6 key major areas. So definitely healthcare technology will be the key one that will be key focus in this Shenzhen Hong Kong Technology Park. And 2-phase development. Phase 1 will including 31 building, and then phase 2 will be 36 building. This is the kind of the VR view about that Hong Kong Shenzhen Technology Park in this cross border between Hong Kong side and also the Shenzhen side. In addition to the facility, right, we do have the talent. So that's why I just highlighted. Probably some people already know that for those university in Hong Kong, you can 5 of them, including Hong Kong University, Science and Technology University, Chinese University, CTU, and also Polytechnic, is already ranked one of the top 100 globally. And then those companies, they have done excellent basic research. So they have a technology transfer office, which is belongs to the university, going to license their IP or doing some collaborative research with the university and the industry as well. So moving on the government, right? So for startup in particular, funding is crucial. So for startup, they can join the incubation program offered by the Hong Kong Science Technology Park, and also they may be able to get the funding from the Innovation Technology Venture Fund. And then when it comes to the R&D, then the government is also over different kind of policy to drive the development, including some matching fund under the scheme called Enterprise Support Scheme or Partnership Research Program. And for more mature kind of company, they can apply for the tax deduction, and also the cash rebate for the expenditure or the amount of money you spend in the research project. They can entitled to have a 40% of rebate of those the money you spend on those R&D projects. And the Research Talent Hub is going to subsidize for some people, for a company, you hire some R&D talent to subsidize the salary, right? So it depends on the different degree that you recruit those talent. So the maximum will be 3 years for 4 people. And then later on for the adoption phase, the government have different vouchers or platform to allow people to demonstrate the technology to the industry. And another point that I want to highlight is about the financial platform in Hong Kong. So by the time if you are doing better and better, then listing is one of the very attractive for a company to grow bigger. So because of the biomedical is a different journey from the other industry, is a long journey. So Hong Kong have a bio chapter called Chapter 18A, which is the listing particular for the biomedical company. And then we are already the second largest after New York for helping company to list in Hong Kong for under the biomedical. So as long as if you're doing the drugs right, if you pass the FDA phase 1 clinical trial with good result, then it's become eligible to apply for this listing until, which is unlike the others, which you have to wait until the end you're making profit. So the GBA is another area that people will love to hear more because it provides excellent opportunity in terms of the business opportunity. So Hong Kong, as you know, is only 7 million people, but the GBA add up together is 72 million, which is called 9 plus 2 city. 2 is meaning Hong Kong and Macau, but the 9 is called mainland city in mainland China in the GBA area. So add up together 72 million of population and then 1.7 trillion count GDP. And the whole idea is that we're going to leverage the good part for Hong Kong and also the good part in mainland China. In Hong Kong, it definitely will be the very sound financial platform and the professional that we can find in Hong Kong, the infrastructure available in Hong Kong, but the industrial foundation in GBA is excellent. So how can we leverage the financial part and also the R&D part in Hong Kong, but together with the industrial powerhouse in GBA. So at the end, so I just want to come with this last slide to show what we do for Invest Hong Kong. So if you are a company or startup who want to come to Hong Kong, and then we help at the early stage in the planning stage, the information you want to gather, and then by the time if you want to set up your company, we will do some administrative role to advise where to get the company registration account, opening the bank account, etc. And then later on, if you have a more networking opportunity, we love to introduce the business matching or business introduction to the company who want to look at. So, or maybe doing some PR support at the end. So I just stop here. Is finished my part, and I just can open a bit more Q&A function. Thank you. Oh, okay, so I just see this chat box, right? So the slide is not changing. So unfortunately, I don't know why. uh-huh. Okay, maybe I just try to answer the question on the chat box, right? So what opportunity are there for COVID-19 technologies, right? So there is very wide, the question, right? So under the COVID-19, right? So say for example, if you are the disinfection robot, right? So there's a lot of demand or more opportunity for people adopt the robot to replace human interaction. So for example, we've been working with some of the robotic company. They linking up with the hospital authority or the MTR, for example, because they are going to deploy their disinfection robot in those public area as well. So and also we see more doing the diagnostic function, right? So at the couple of months or 6 months ago, we're helping some company who established their diagnostic service in Hong Kong as well. So for the COVID-19 is from the medical side, definitely will be the we can look at the diagnostic and vaccine, and also around the adjacent side, we'll be looking at the more on the robotic or something that we can help to minimize the infection of the COVID-19. I think in terms of the clinical trial for class 2 device, right? So that one I do believe that we can for the medical device, right, in Hong Kong, as you know, there's no strict requirement. You need to register something, but I think there's no such a regulatory required because it's voluntary registration for the medical device. That's that's first answer. And then the second answer is that I think it depends on how the market will see this medical device. So very important that you for people who adopt this device, it must, from the patient or from the healthcare professional perspective, they need to see some certain registration overseas before they are confident to use it. So although that Hong Kong does not require certain, is a voluntary registration, but the kind of CE mark or some other FDA approval is still important from the healthcare professional perspective. I think that's an interesting question. What's the language barrier for international startup want to build a base in Hong Kong? Because that's why we want people to be based in Hong Kong, so that Hong Kong is more multicultural. So if you speak English, right, so that's good. You can go anywhere in Hong Kong. You won't be have a problem to find food to eat. And then while you're in Hong Kong, then you can have a chance to commute. Of course, right now it's very challenging because of the border is closed. But Hong Kong to the Shenzhen is just a 1 hour travel, or maybe less than that, or maybe can be, depends on where you are in Hong Kong. So in that case, then you can commute from Hong Kong to China to get yourself familiar with the China culture and the Mandarin language in China. So and then once you're comfortable, and then you can start moving to the GBA area, and then to build up your language experience over there. So I think given the travel restriction, how can we overcome the challenge of starting a new business in Hong Kong at the moment? This is hard to answer because since if you need something physically to be done in Hong Kong, definitely if you can't come to Hong Kong, we cannot do much. But given that lucky that we have the Zoom, right? So if in case there are certain function that can be done over the Zoom or maybe some online platform, at least we can do the groundwork first. But if in case you need the do the actual lab test, etc., that not much that can be done because there's a that's the barrier that cannot fix it because of the travel. Yeah. I think for the rehabilitation robot, right? I think there's a demand because in particular in Hong Kong, right? So I have a conversation with the science park people, and then they do have a lot of technology coming out from the science park, and there's getting more and more demand for the OH people or the what we call rehabilitation kind of function required in the GBA area. And also there's some certain kind of funding available from the government trying to drive the technology adoption in the OH home for the OH people, kind of rehabilitation purpose. So there's a, first of all, there's the demand coming from the government's support, the funding support by the government. And also there's some demand from the GBA area because the whole idea of the GBA is moving the people who feel too expensive to live in Hong Kong, particularly for the OH people. And then they can find a more comfortable place to live in Shenzhen or GBA area so that they can move over there. So there's increasing more demand for more people who are looking at as a good business opportunity to build a OH community in Greater Bay Area to serve people who are the Hong Kong residents over there. But I think so the demand is there, and then some sort of funding available by the government to drive the adoption of those OH people. But that funding is support only for the OH clinic or home in Hong Kong only. But combining those together, there's a demand for the rehabilitation robot. But I think cost is one of the issue for adoption of those robots. I don't think there's a regulatory framework exists require what can be done, what can be done for the AI in Hong Kong. I think for the government program, right? If you go to the our Invest Hong Kong website, the Start Me Up, then you can find there's a different link to different funding program, because each program have their own criteria to fulfill. So I would suggest, if you are interested in some of the funding program or incentive available, so go to visit our website, Invest Hong Kong website, and then you will be able to find the link to the relevant kind of function. Thank you. I think that is about 12:30, and then I answer most of the questions. So feel free to reach out to Invest Hong Kong, my colleague or myself, so that if you run into any question. Thank you for that. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.